Yo guys, what is up? This is going to be kind of a quicker video, a little quicker than usual. So for me, this is going to be ranking the Soulsborne games. So tier list maker, let's go to tier list maker and let's rank time Souls games. Souls like games tier list. Okay, so let's do this. Do we have? Okay, we have all. It looks like we have all the games on here. I hope so. Actually, that's Dark Souls 2. That's Sekiro. Okay, yeah, we have all the games on here. I think. I think so. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need one more. I need one more. I need one more. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need one more. How do I make one more? There we go. Okay. Let's do first. And can this see everything? Oh, yeah. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. Okay, so let's just get right into this. I'm gonna give all the explanations why and kind of everything soon. So I'm gonna go from last place to first place. That seems to be what most people kind of do with this. And I've played, just for context, I've played all of these games multiple times. I love all of them. I would say the top 3, debatably even the top 4, debatably even honestly the top 5 I have in my top 10 games. So like I love these games, okay? Like other than honestly kind of 6th and 7th, the top 5 here, in my opinion, there's a bottom 3 that are very like clearly there, and I think the top 4 are all up for debate. I think the top 4 are all up for debate, to be honest, because I think any of the top 4 you could argue is number 1, 2, 3, or 4. So, alright, I'm going to kick it off in 7th place. I am going to put Demon Souls in 7th place. Now, why would I put Demon Souls in 7th place? Well, Demon Souls is basically the first game in the franchise. They were kind of experimenting, right? It was the literal first game in the franchise. They were kind of seeing what was going right. It was it was hard for them. It was kind of they didn't have as much budget. They didn't have as much employees. All that. So again, the areas of the game are kind of, they're just like, I don't know, they're very, very annoying. And again, the bottom 2 games, the way they're structured is that it's like the area is the hard part, and then the boss is just kind of like a sweet treat or reward for completing the area. So again, I just think that this is the weakest of the games. I don't think it's a bad game. I don't even think it's a medium game. I think it's a good game, but it's the weakest of the games. It just doesn't really have a lot of great bosses. It has a puzzle boss, so yeah, really not the best. Just feels super clunky, just not great. In 6th place, again, to no one's surprise, like the bottom 2 are pretty undebatable. We have Dark Souls 2. Now, Dark Souls 2 is where things start to get a little interesting. This game did a lot of things wrong. This game did a lot of things wrong. People really, really dislike this game. Now, I don't think Dark Souls 2 is nearly as bad as people say it is. But again, Dark Souls 2 seems to be on the internet kind of one of those games that you either love or hate. Like, there's some people that'll say Dark Souls 2 is better than Dark Souls 1 out there, and will say that it's better than Elden Ring and stuff like that. Or is just wrong. Like, that's just in my personal opinion. Um, but I just kind of see it as it is. I don't really have any bias against or towards Dark Souls 2 because Dark Souls 2 is the game I played the second last in the series. And I kind of just didn't really have any bias. I didn't go into it thinking I was going to hate it. And yeah, I didn't. I thought it was still a really good game, but I just think these two especially can't compete with the top five. More so the top four. I think the top four are really... okay. Third place, I have Dark Souls 1. Now again, you might be thinking, okay, well, this guy's list is the most generic list ever. I'm telling you guys right now, you guys are going to be surprised. Okay, the top four gets a little shaky, but I do think, personally, in my opinion, there is one game that clearly stands above them all. Anyways, Dark Souls 1, same sort of thing. If it was just the first half of the game, I think it could compete with the top four. I think it could compete with the Giants. But the problem is with the second half of the game. You have, after Ornstein Smough, you have Seath in that area, which is not great. You have the Lost Izalith. Like, really? Like, the Lost Izalith? No way. The Bed of Chaos, like, I don't even need to go on, honestly. And then Gwyn's just kind of like an underwhelming final boss, to be honest. He's alright. Again, the first half of the game's level design is probably my favorite levels to go through, or some of my favorite levels to go through. The fashion is kind of decent. It's not as good as the fashion in Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls 3. So the fashion's alright. The weapon variety is okay. It's decent. It's whatever. So yeah, honestly, fifth place. I think this could go on a really good day. I think these three are locks. I think the top four could get switched around a little bit. Now in fourth place, I'm going to go with Sekiro. Now again, Sekiro is kind of one of those games where it's either, I've beaten it many times. I think it's a great game, but I don't love the style of Sekiro. Personally, I definitely am more of a knight armor guy, sort of fighting guys in armor myself. I like that sort of medieval Europe kind of vibe a lot more. But again, undeniably super good mechanics, super great game. I didn't love the metal arm stuff. Like, I didn't really like do anything with the fireworks or anything. Like, I didn't really. But again, you can't deny that just the bare bones combat of the game is insane. It's so good. I really like that. Another thing too that I think isn't really talked too much about this game is I think some of the grabs in this game are a little unfair, which I don't like. I also think that the enemy, like just the basic enemies in the game, are like not great. To be honest, I think this is the like definition of you just speedrun this game. But yeah, again, I don't know. I don't love it, but if you have it in your first or whatever, I can understand it because the combat is really good. But again, in my opinion, that's really all it has going for it. Literally nothing else. I don't like the style of the game, the OST. It's just the combat of the game is really great, and nothing else, to be honest. That's just my personal opinion on the game. Alright, this is where we get interesting here. In third place, I have Elden Ring. I think Elden Ring is the definition of a third place. I think it is perfectly sits in third place. Again, you can disagree. That's just my opinion. I think it is the most third place. Again, jack of all trades, master of none. Again, I know some people are going to hate me for saying that, but yeah, jack of all trades, Master of None. Now, some people might be like, how could you say that? Elden Ring. There's a lot of Elden Ring glazers. Again, I think this game is amazing. I think this game's basically 10 out of 10. But again, I think anything in the top four, let me just preface by saying that anything in the top four, I think is just can be switched for anyone. I'm not gonna say anything. I think the bottom three are pretty non-debatable. I think the bottom two are undebatable, but I think the top four, honestly, you can kind of switch them, and really, honestly, get away with it. I don't really think anyone's gonna be like, you have Elden Ring or Sekiro and you're number one. What? Like, I don't think so. The only one that some people disagree with, which is again, I don't know. Anyway. I'll just keep going. Elden Ring's again really good open world, which again I don't love open world games. I just find they're empty a little bit. They're just kind of meaningless. Elden Ring didn't do a bad job with it. It's pretty good open world. Its fashion's pretty good. Its fashion's decent. It's decent. It's all right. Its weapon variety is really good. And again, with the DLC coming out, I put this game a lot higher. When the DLC wasn't out, you would have caught me putting this game in like 5th place, because I think the base game is honestly is very overrated personally. I think in the whole main game, you got 3 good bosses in the like core game. Like you have Godfrey, you have Malekith, and you have Radahn. I don't think the final boss is that great. That's really all you got in the main game. So again, with the DLC coming out, again, this game, the biggest issue with this game for me was the bosses. Before the DLC, it was the bosses. The bosses were, in my opinion, they were not great. They were lacking. They were pretty lacking. But again, like another game on this list, the DLC really makes up for it. And its atmosphere is not my favorite either. I know I said I like the medieval stuff, but this is the atmosphere is more of an adventure fantasy. It's more bright, again, which is what a lot of people like. I get that. This game is appealing to the masses. I understand it's a really good game. I love it. I still think it's a 9 out of 10, but it's just not quite my favorite. And I do think there is a little bit of things wrong with it, like repeating bosses out in the wild, like just random, it kind of messed up forever, like what the definition of a boss is as well. It kind of messed that up forever. So again, when this game came out, I was kind of upset at the game for that. Because again, it kind of messed up, like, what is a boss? What is a mini boss? So that kind of got me upset. And again, I do think the main game's boss pool is not great. I'm not going to lie. I think it's pretty lackluster. And yeah, I still think it's an amazing game, though. With the DLC, I think it's a 9 out of 10. But I think these top two are just 10 out of 10 perfect games. So in my second place, again, I think I'm the only person in the whole world. But anyways, my second place, I have Bloodborne. Now, I love Bloodborne. It is an amazing game, okay? I mean, the boss pool is insane. The OST is insane. The atmosphere of the game is insane. Okay? Like, seriously, it's pretty crazy. Like, everything about this game is amazing. The weapons are super balanced and super awesome, and like all of them are super cool to use. They all feel amazing. The combat in this game is insane as well. I think it's on the upper echelon because of how the game works with the healing system and how you can heal back. You get lifesteal for a little while. You get that gray bar. I think that is amazing. That was an amazing mechanic, and they made this mechanic. It was so good. It was just amazing. The weapons are great. Again, the OST is amazing. Again, the only real problem with this game before the DLC was just its main game boss pool was not super strong. It was pretty weak. But again, with the DLC, they fixed that, and everything else about the game was already amazing. I think the way, again, this is controversial, but I think with the way they do the blood vials, I think is really, really good. I know that's controversial, but I think the blood vials is actually a good thing. Again, I think the levels are really good. I think all of the levels are really, really good of the game, which is a strong point because honestly, other than really like Dark Souls 1, I don't love the levels of any of these other games. I think the levels of Bloodborne were like amazing. I think the music's amazing, the boss is amazing, the weapons are amazing, the lore is amazing, everything about this game is amazing. 10 out of 10 game, could not recommend enough. And my number one of the list, and again, this is controversial. I don't think anyone's putting this as their number one. I have Dark Souls 3. Now, this game holds a special spot in my heart. If you haven't seen on my YouTube channel, I've actually beaten this game without getting hit. Non-recording, I've beaten this game without dying, and I've beaten this game at level 1. I love this game. This game holds a special spot in my heart. This game was the first game I ever played, the first Souls game I ever played for a while before I got another one too. So that I think might have something to do with it. But I'll get into why this game I think is still, in my personal opinion, I do think this is the best game in the series. No one really seems to get that. I don't really know why, but yeah. This game holds a special spot in my heart. I love this game so much. This game taught me about delayed gratification. This game taught me about how you work at something, and again, really, really delayed gratification. When I was younger, I think this game helped me a lot understand how that if you work at something, even if you're not good at it right away, if you kind of work at something over and over again, you get really good at it, that feeling and that rewarding feeling of being really good at something that no one else is really good at, or it takes a long time, is a really good feeling. Again, let's just get with the more kind of less personal stuff. I'm just giving a reason as to why this is the number one game, because I know some people might not get that, so I completely understand that. That's totally fair if you don't get that. I personally think the OST of this game is the best. I really, really like the kind of little holy vibes, like that kind of, that gives off. I really, really love the OST of this game. I think it's the best. I think the weapon variety in this game is amazing and is borderline the best. I think the balancing of this game, which is something that no one really talks about, but I think the balancing of this game, where you don't feel like you need to go and farm souls to feel like on par with the enemies and stuff like that, I think the balancing of this game is the best of all the games. You can see that, in just everything. I think the balancing of this game is really, really good. The weapon variety is really, really good. And again, something that I didn't love about Elden Ring that I really, really like about this game, I think they perfected it, is the armor system. Vitality being a stat, I think is, if you're going to put armor in your game, I personally think you need to put vitality as a stat. I think it's super important to have it as a stat. I think it is an extremely important stat, and basically for anyone who doesn't know, vitality is a stat in some of these games that increases your carry load equipment. So it basically increases how much you can put on your character. Now, what this does is, while that might sound annoying, what it does is it lets heavy armor be really good. It lets heavy armor be really good without being broken, because you need to invest a lot into the vitality stat to use it. But what this means is that it's really good. It's a really, really good stat, right? And armor can be really, really good without just being broken. Because again, if you have your carry load equipment like Elden Ring linked with endurance, then what that means is that you can't make armor good, because you're basically combining two stats into one. So you can't make armor that good because you're just upgrading endurance. So, that would be too unbalanced. So I think that's something that isn't talked about either that's really, really good about Dark Souls 3. And then let's just get to the obvious one. I mean, It has the best boss pool in the entire Souls series. I don't even think any game comes even remotely close. I don't even think it's even a little close. I think it has the best. I think it has the undebatably best boss lineup in the whole Souls series. I'll literally just go through the boss lineup right now. You got Abyss Watchers, that's an S tier boss. Then you keep going, Walnir. Then you go over through Pontiff. Boom, that's another S tier boss. Then you keep going. Aldrich is decent, but whatever. Yorm is not insane or anything. Then you get the Princes. This is another S tier boss. Then you have Soul of Cinder. This is another debatably S tier boss. Then you have Nameless King. Then you have Midir. Then you have Gale. Then you have Sister Fried. I mean, do I have to go on? Like, this is the most stacked boss list in the entire Souls series. Like, it has the most stacked boss list. It has the most God tier level bosses, the most S tier level bosses in the whole franchise. I think it just completely blows everything out of the water. And then also, again, I don't know if it's because it was my first game, but something about the mechanics of the game, like how the game literally functions, how it sounds when you hit an enemy, how it sounds when you roll, kind of just like how smooth it is like, that is what I love about Dark Souls 1. And so yeah, this is my list. I hope you guys liked it. Please make sure to like the video, like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much, and have a great day.